Hello, crafty friends. This is Jessica Lewis with Scrap Sprinkle Crop. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and today I have a little tutorial that I put together using the To the Moon stamp set right here. Okay, so this stamp set is from the 2021-2022 annual catalog, and I'm going to show you how to put together a card making this stamp set. It was so much fun. It does involve a little bit of brush blending with inks, with our blending brushes, and so I'm going to switch my camera over and show you how I put this together. Okay, so here is the card that I made. It is a very spacey. I was, um, what's the word I'm looking for? I was inspired by a pin I found on Pinterest for the background of this card. Um, but this is what I came up with. Here's the inside of the card. It could be, I'm thinking it could be any new phase in life that you're beginning. It could be retirement, a baby, a new job. And so this card fits many of those kinds of occasions. So let me go ahead and get you started. Before I do that, this is the stamp set right here, To the Moon. It's a single stamp set. It does not coordinate with anything specifically besides the circle, the laying circle dies. And actually, here's the layering circles dies, and this die right here is the one that coordinates to cut out the moon here. I believe it's 2 3/4. That's centimeters. I believe, yeah, 2 3/4. So it's a 2 3/4 inch circle die. So this is the one that we're going to be using to cut out the moon. Let me set this aside and bring in the stamp set as well as the Stitch Stars dies. So the Stitch Stars dies that I used is this one right here. This is the die that I used to cut out the stars for this card. So I'll be using that. And so let me just go ahead and get started. Why not? Okay. I know y'all are anxious to just get started. So I have a few pieces cut out. I'm starting off with a Blackberry Bliss piece of cardstock. This is a size, a standard size A2 um, that I cut. And so actually I'm going to set this aside and I'm going to start with the harder part. This piece right here, which is going to be the background that we're going to create. This takes a little bit of drying time, so we want to make sure we give that enough time to dry. So for the purpose of the background, I'm going to be using 3 inks. I'm going to be using Night of Navy, Rich Razzleberry, and Blackberry Bliss. I'm going to start with the Rich Razzleberry first, and I have my blending brush, and I'm going to pull that out. You can see, just a kind of a side note, the way I store my blending brushes, I made sure to label. I love organizing these and labeling them according to the color family that it belongs to so I won't get confused. So that's a little tip for me. I'm going to go ahead and take this Rich Razzleberry and I'm going to do a circle. Just kind of right here. Make it dark in the middle, and as I go out, I'm going to keep blending that. You can see how it's blending like this. You are going to get inky fingers, so remember to keep a cloth close by as you do this. As a matter of fact, I'm just now remembering that I'm going to need, probably could be a good idea to put a piece of post-it note or tape or something to be able to um, keep it in place while you're blending. I don't remember where my tape went, so I'm just gonna keep blending here. And yeah, you know what? I do need to grab that tape. But in the meantime, since I don't have my tape, I don't know where it is, I'm just gonna grab some post-it notes and maybe this will work. Let's see here. Here's my little post-it notes. Oh, grabbed one too many. Okay, here, I'm gonna put that here. And this is okay. If you're gonna be blending, this is okay to cover because the size of the cardstock is actually going to be a little bit smaller than this. So I'm gonna keep blending this rich raspberry, and you see how it kind of has a dark area here and then the lighter in the center. That's what you want. Okay, I think that looks good enough with the rich raspberry. Now I'm going to switch over to my Blackberry Bliss. This is going to blend a little bit further out on the outside. So the way you typically do that is you start blending on the outside and do that in circular motion. And I'm going to do that all the way around here. Okay, get a little bit more. And you know, the background comes out differently every single time. So this is, if you haven't done this before, um, this is a good way to kind of see how the blending technique works. And it's okay if you get a little bit darker in some areas and lighter in other areas. That's okay because that's the way the night sky looks like sometimes. I'm gonna leave it there. That looks pretty good to me. And then I'm gonna finish it off with my Night of Navy. I'm gonna go ahead and blend that. I switched my blending brush over to the excuse me, the blue. Ooh, I got a little itch in my throat. Okay, so here's the Night of Navy, and I'm gonna do that dark all over. Just blend, blend, blend. And you can kind of see how I start out here and then do my blending in circles. And then I'm going to go to this corner and just blend that. It's looking more and more like a night sky, isn't it? Okay. I want to make sure I do the outer edges a little bit darker and then make sure I get the middle part blended in as well. Let's do a little bit more. Get those outer edges blended real good. And then the inside here. Let's see. Okay. I think I'm going to leave it like this. Okay. So that's all the blending I'm going to do. And to create that splattered pattern on the background, like you see here, you can see the little splatters. Surely you've seen this already, but if you haven't, you're going to take some white craft ink and put it on one of your clear blocks. Just do a small drop. It really doesn't take that much. And take your water pen and put like about 3 drops on it and mix it up real good. I might have added too much water. When you add too much water, the splattering doesn't show very well. Let's try it. Oh yeah, that's looking good. And you're gonna see like you can see some big splatters, some little splatters, and some will fade out a little bit more, and some will look just random, which is good. That's what you want, right? Okay, so for the sake of time and the magic of videos, I already have one ready to cut and it's already dry. So this is what you're kind of going for that effect. I love the way it looks. So let's go ahead and cut it down. And I'm going to grab my paper trimmer here and I'm going to trim it down to 4 by 4 3/4. And I want to make sure that I trim that white part. We don't want to see that. So I'm going to get to 4 3/4 right here. And then 4. Okay, so now we trim that to 4 by 4 3/4. Okay, and so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take my little 1/2" circle punch. If you don't have this 1/2" circle punch, there's a circle die. You can use one of the layering circle dies or something. I'm just going to guesstimate and I'm going to punch these corners like this. Okay, so I just punched out all 4 of these corners. And then that is going to be placed on a piece of bedazzling paper. Can you see the shimmer and the shine on this thing? It is really beautiful. This is from the Celebration 2021 catalog brochure, and it measures 3 7/8 by 4 1/8. So it's just a tad, um, what did I do wrong here? Well, I did my measurements wrong. What is the problem? Oh, I see. Okay. So my cut here is actually smaller. Let me measure this. Let's see here. What is this measurement? It is 4 by 3 3/4. Oh, so I had my measurements down wrong. Sorry about that. Let me go ahead and cut it. So what did I say? It was 4 by 3 3/4. Okay. So I know this is 4 and this is going to be 3 3/4. I measured it a little bit too much. Well, that scared me a little bit. Hey, anybody can make mistakes, right? Okay, so now I'm going to punch those corners again. Easy fix. Okay, so now I can fit this on top of my bedazzling paper. That's much better. And in order to do that, since you have the bedazzling paper is rough and has a lot of texture to it, it's easier to get it to stick with some glue dots. Okay, so use some glue dots to adhere the back of this onto your bedazzling paper. And it truly is bedazzling. It's hard to say. Okay, so now I'm going to set this on top. Let me make sure I'm still in my camera view here. And we're going to set it like this. Okay, and that should do it right there. Very pretty. I like that. Okay, so now we can go ahead and adhere this to our card front. And by doing that, I'm just going to use some tape adhesive. The tape adhesive will do just fine. And I'm going to do it in the middle here of the card, like that. Okay, so far, so good. And then, let's see. Okay, so our next part is going to be doing the moon here. And so I have a piece of silver foil. This is the matte finish. And you can get this foil from the 2021 holiday catalog that recently came out this month. And this measures 3 by 3. Okay, so I'm going to take this silver foil and I'm going to stamp my moon. And make sure you use the StazOn ink. This is the only ink that you should use to stamp on a kind of silver foil like this because it will remain. So make sure you ink it up real good in every which way, and hopefully my first stamp will do good. Okay, here we go. Make sure you stamp all the way in the center, on the sides. Give it good pressure. And wow, this is hard to pull off. Oh yay, it came out pretty good. You can actually see the writing that I did for the sticky note. I shouldn't have done that, but this actually needs to dry a little bit before I run it through the machine to cut out. So let me set that aside to dry. And then we're going to go ahead and take another strip of the silver foil, but this time it's the mirrored finish. And it measures 1/2 inch by 3 3/4. And so here is my little piece that I cut out, and I'm going to stamp with the StazOn again. I'm going to stamp my sentiment, and the sentiment says, "Enjoy this new phase of life." So I'm going to get my StazOn here and try to stamp it right in the center. If your ink is very juicy, be careful. You kind of see, ooh, it's crooked. I should have done it. Okay, we're just going to have to go with it because I cannot pull out my other piece of foil right now. So we're just going to go with it. I'm going to set that aside as well to dry. Okay, so the stitch stars that I showed you earlier, I went ahead and cut this out with my machine, and this is what you get. And it's from the Stitch Stars dies, like I mentioned, and I'm going to use just this one piece, and I'm going to trim it down to show you how the pieces that I used. As a matter of fact, when I ran it through I keep wanting to call it the Big Shot. When I ran it through my machine, I kept these inside pieces, the cutouts from the stars, I kept these as well because I'm going to use it on the front of the card like you see here. I'm going to put 3 here, and then for the inside of the card I'm going to put 1 here and then a little strip of this little curly thing here. So I'm going to trim that down with my scissors a little bit, and so I can remember what I did. I believe I cut off this here, this little swirl, and trimmed it down on this side. Okay, and you know, there's going to be a lot of little pieces that, see, I trimmed that off. And I'm going to trim a little bit here. This does get a little bit tedious, so make sure you have good and sharp scissors. This one doesn't even want to come off. And it's okay if you if you cut this, it's okay because it's going to be hiding anyway. Okay, and then I also trimmed the little swirl from this side as well, like this. You see? So now I just have the stars, and I can place those behind my sentiment. I'll keep this, I'll get rid of a few of these things and put it in my trash. So I believe this is still wet. This is a little bit more dry. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and punch out the ends of the sentiment with my banner Pick-a-Punch, and you can get this from the annual catalog. There's 2 ends to it, and I'm going to use this end right here. So it's like the the opposite of the banner. And it's really easy to punch. So there's that side. And there's that side. Easy enough. If you want to get a little bit closer to your sentiment or to the words, you can always punch it again and it'll clip it one more time. And I actually like that better on this end. So I'm going to keep that, set this aside. And then I guess I need to go ahead and cut my moon, don't I? Okay, let's go ahead and do that. Oh, I'm getting out of the camera view here. And I'm getting messy. Surely you all do not have messy tables when you craft, right? That's a lie. Okay, here is my little machine, my moon, and my die. Make sure to center that and carefully place this on top and run it through. Okay, bear with me as I get a shaky table here. I tell you, this little mini machine is the best. I love it for making videos. Okay, so you know my StazOn. Oh no, my StazOn is sticking to my plate. So that's what I mean. I should, oh no, I just ruined it. Ah, what do you do? What do you do? I'm gonna have to do something on my, let's see. Oh, this does stink here. Okay. So, well, should I try to stamp it again? I don't think that would be a good idea. Not a good idea. So, for the sake of the video, don't do this. Make sure it's fully dry before you run it through your machine. Otherwise, it'll stick to your plate just like it did here. Oh man, I hate when this happens. But, like I said, for the sake of time, we're just going to pretend that this did not happen, okay? And so we'll move on and we're going to place some of these dimensionals on the back of the moon. And set it about right here. Minus the mess up, right? Okay. Okay, and then what I did is I actually took, and you actually can consider instead of doing using the Tombow glue, you can cut this ahead of time using some of the adhesive sheets, and you run it through and you'll have adhesive on the back. But I did not do that, so I will just put little tiny dots of glue in some areas here of my cutout, and I will stick them down with my fingers. Okay, I'm gonna have to slide this in here. So it would have been a good idea to place the stars before I place the moon. Too many mistakes on this video. But that's good, right? Because I show you what not to do. It still works. It still works. I'll be covering a lot of that adhesive anyway with my phrase here. So since it's going to be like laying on top of the moon flat here, and it's going to be popping up a little bit on this side, I'm going to put a dimensional on this end. And then I'm going to put glue dots. Where do my glue dots go? I'm going to put some glue dots. Just a couple. Put a couple of glue dots here. So that way, oh, I'm getting out of the view again. Here we go. Okay. And I'm going to put it right here. Is that straight? Hope so. Okay, there. Okay, so you can't see too many of the mistakes I made, or I hope. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to do to finish off this card, I'm going to put some random dots of glue in a few places, and I'm going to use my stars. Pardon my dog, he heard a noise. Okay, so this is the front of the card. What do you think? Minus the mistake here. Okay, so we'll go ahead and finish off this card. All you need is a 4 by 5 1/4 piece of white cardstock to place on the inside of the card. Let me go ahead and put some adhesive here and place it here. And like I said, you're going to have inky fingers, so be careful to make sure to clean your fingers before you touch anything white. And I have my Simply Chamois here, and I can just rub my fingers to clean all that ink off. Excuse me. Okay, last touch here. I'm going to put a little bit of glue in some spots here for my little swirl to finish that off. And I'm just going to place it here. And like I said, it'd probably be easier to use an adhesive sheet to stick it down. And then, last but not least, I'm going to put a little blue. Calm down, Blue. Sorry, my dog. Okay, and all we have to do is use this Blackberry Bliss and stamp the congratulations sentiment. And I'm going to put it about, I'm going to have to stand up here so I can look. There you go. That is the finished card. I really do hope that you enjoyed this little tutorial and are able to remake this. Like I said, you have a little bit of drying time to wait on for making this card, but the end result is really fun and really exciting. So thank you for joining me. If you have any questions, make sure to email me or comment on the link below. So thank you so much and have a good day. Bye.